welcome back to another episode of Living LFTD with Brenton Ross. I have a very special guest today. Before I introduce him, I want to say thank you to the people that have provided feedback on our first episodes. It actually has been mostly friends or people that know the guest that I've had on this show that have wanted to watch it, because mostly the audience that exists on my YouTube channel has either been overflow from the fitness stuff I put on Instagram, or we've done car videos and vlogs back in the day, fitness stuff on here. And so this is kind of different and new style of content that's on this channel. And so hopefully, because of the stuff that you've watched me do that is of interest to you, that you'll give this a chance, because my whole goal with this is each person that I bring on here, I don't put it in a box. We just have a really fun conversation, easygoing, no pressure conversation about their life, what has made them successful. But I like to peel one layer back and really talk about some of the difficult things that have gone through during that time, because a lot of us are going through something hard right now. If we're not right now, we will at some point, or we have in the past. That's just how life works. Mm-hmm. And so each person that I talk with is an opportunity for another viewer or listener to relate with something that they're going through, and hopefully find the hope and courage to then forge their own path similar to the person, and it gives them hope. So that being said, I got Perry Dodd with me today. Normally what I do is I come up with this little intro that I read about the person, or I came up with, but here's what's really cool. Our friend Bob, I told him that you're going to be on here today. After he left, he texted me and he goes, "Don't you forget that you have the Sultan of Shine, the Buddha of Buff, the Prince of Polish." Here's my favorite one: the Rabbi of Rub.
I coined that one. Isn't that great?
Of course you did. And then he wanted me to make sure I also included that you're very well known for your wheelie skills. The Polish stuff, the Rabbi Rub, that's all alluding to the fact that he owns European Detail, which is a high-end auto detail business. But before we even talk about your business or anything like that, I want to start talking about who Perry is as a person, because I enjoy you so much. I think you're such a genuine, what you see is what you get human being, and I love you, man. And I just want the opportunity to talk through some of your stories, some of your life adventures, and let the people watching this get to see a small glimpse of what I get to see all the time, that I'm so privileged to do. So the focus, what I also do is I kind of think about the person that I'm visiting with, and I like to bring a focus in of some kind of topic or concept that I feel the person exemplifies. And for today, it's selflessness, because I view you as a selfless person. Oxford defines selflessness as concern more with the needs and wishes of others than with one's own. And that's the big focus of this episode, because I believe you exemplify that well.
Thank you. I think I do too.
Good.
If I could say so myself.
Yes, you can. I see you helping people, whether it's even just this week, you bringing me over to meet your buddy, or just different people that are in your shop. And you go out, or I'll remember when Jackson had gout and you went and you barely even knew him and went and brought him medicine. Like, I noticed those things, and you have empathy for people. Totally. You related with them. And so you wanted to help. I see you do it in so many different ways. But what I also see is when you are helping someone else and you're being selfless, that's when I see you at your happiest.
Right.
That's when I see you have the most joy, but it's also when I see you at the most at peace.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely. So now that I've keep fluffing you up, let's get into.
Now take me down.
Let's get into some of your stories.
Okay.
You are an Arizona native.
Yes.
And honestly, a little bit of a local legend. Some of the reasons we'll talk about, some of the reasons we won't.
Some we don't.
We won't. But let's talk about little Perry, not little Perry. Let's talk about younger Perry.
Okay.
All right. Who was Perry as a kid?
Perry was a young guy that had a phenomenal upbringing, great parents. And my dad, I was born in 58. And so we lived in a little house on Northern and 5th Street. Growing up for about 4 or 5 years, and don't remember a ton of those times. But my father he got kind of smart real quick, and he said, "I'm going to buy a house out in Paradise Valley." And he goes, and it's going to have dirt roads. So I literally grew up on Sunnyvale and 66th Street.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And I mean, literally, like Lincoln was dirt for quite a while going into Phoenix, and then it was finally paved. So, go way, way back. But so he buys this place for maybe $140,000, which was a lot of money back then in 1962.
Yeah, but now it's their property taxes.
Yeah. We got an acre and a half.
Wow.
And his goal was to, for his kids and his family, to add on to this house as we went along. He was a framer as a younger person. And it was just a great deal because we loved horses, and not me so much, my sister did. And I was into mini bikes, and he got me going into all that. So I'm a really blessed childhood. And as a young man out here in the desert, that's all I wanted to do. I'd get up at 6 a.m. I'd ride my mini bike till I had to take a shower and go to school. Then I'd ride my 1-speed mountain bike to school. And then I'd come back, and after I did my chores and my homework and everything else, I could go ride again for 2 hours. But he was a military guy. So when he said we're eating at 6, you got to be sitting at the table at 6, but don't sit down before your mother. You seat her. So he was a tough guy. And as a young man, I probably didn't like it at times. And I did get myself in trouble frequently because he was gone 2 weeks out of the month with laying furniture on the East Coast. So as 2 weeks goes by, my mom's got a legal pad of every single thing I did wrong.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God. And the worst thing was to go to the airport and pick him up after he had 2 drinks on the plane.
Okay.
There's a few backhanders in there. But anyway, to sum up what you said, I was just kind of a happy kid. And I had kind of a odd relationship with my sister. I wasn't the best brother. I was kind of mean and stuff like that. She might have been.
Are you older or younger? I can't remember.
A year and a half older.
That's right.
Yeah. But now, after going through these tumultuous times with her, in my past, we are the tightest people ever.
I could tell when I met her.
She is my rock.
The way you talk about her, the stories and everything. But even when she was just here for a few minutes, you can just see how close you guys are.
You mean the day she melted when she saw you?
No, about that. Back to the mini bike. How old were you when you got your first one?
My first one was this little POS Briggs and Stratton thing he made for me. And
You made it?
He made it. It had a 3.5 horse Briggs and Stratton, no suspension. It was a kit. I think he called it Little Indian or something, but I got that at 6 years old. And and
is that the one you snapped?
Yeah, broke the frame in half. I rode it too hard, too long by 7 years old. So I came down the street, the frame's dragging on the ground, and sparks are flying. My dad said, "Get your ass in there. We're going to get you another bike."
Wow.
So luckily, we looked at a bike, a Trail 70 Honda, which is a total different deal. But he said, "Well, you can look at it, but we're not going to get it." That Christmas, he yelled at me. He goes, "Did you lock the workshop out back?" And I said, "No, sir." He said, "Get out there and lock it." And I walked out there and I opened the door and there's the Trail 70.
There it is.
Christmas time.
Oh, wow.
And I rode the wheels off that thing.
I bet you did.
You know why? He told me, he goes, and I had to be very respectful. He's a heavy disciplinarian. So he said, it had a speedometer and an odometer. And he says, you can go from Doubletree to Shea and you can go to Scottsdale Road and all the way to Tatum. That was my area. So 7-8 months later, he's looking at my bike. He goes, "You son of a..." I said, "What?" He goes, "You got 4,500 miles on this thing. You've been lying to me. You're crossing over these lines." I said, "No, I never did. I put that kind of mileage in that area."
Just laughing.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I said, "I got to learn how to do wheelies." But it was automatic. It was very hard to wheelie. But so I would drag my feet to get the balance. So I was burning up a pair of tennis shoes a week, and they didn't like that.
Okay.
Dragging them.
Yeah.
So.
It's something cool. Even just in that little short story you told about him hiding the bike in the shed. Most of the time, I feel like when guys are real, tough disciplinarian types, when they come even to like giving a gift or something like that, there's not a lot of thought that goes behind it. But you can even see in that little story, he played up on the fact that he knows that he's tough. Yeah. And so he was like, you forgot to go lock that. And you like, there was emotion and there was thought behind setting up that moment of joy for you. Yep. And you have that cool memory today because of the thought.
I could remember just like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
I just creeping up the door. I kind of thought, well, maybe it's close to Christmas, maybe. And I just opened the door and there's that big knobby tire. And I'm like,
Oh,
this is awesome.
oh, yeah, that feeling that you got seeing that. I bet
Nothing better.
My dad did something similar to that. They never let us be on, our cousins had dirt bikes, but they never let us have them. So we always had go-karts and four-wheel ATVs and stuff like that. And there was one Christmas that he said, we need to go take the trash out. We lived out in the middle of nowhere at this point on literally in the middle of nowhere, 100 acres on a dead end road, gravel road.
Wow.
And so to take the trash out, it was a project. We go get the tractor, put the trash barrels and everything in the front of it and haul it down every week. And so I'm kind of thinking like, we're doing this on Christmas?
Yeah, what the heck?
And sure enough, down at the end of the driveway, there's 3 go-karts sitting there for my brothers and I.
That's so cool.
And we rode those things, man.
Oh, till the wheels come off.
Non-stop. One of my brothers rode it really the most, but we rode them like crazy. We would build our own little tracks. He had a box blade and you just go drag that thing in the field and create little dirt tracks for us. And then we go back out there later and push dirt to create ramps and things like that. And those are such good memories, man.
Those are great memories.
Those were such
we love
go-karts. Back on that at the time, even at that age, I could appreciate that wasn't normal. You know, to be able to do things like that, to go down the end of the driveway and have 3 go-karts sitting there for your 3 sons.
Sure.
Like, it was a huge blessing.
I'd like to see the expression on your father's face.
Oh yeah, he loved it.
It had to be priceless.
He was really big on things like that.
Yeah.
And he wasn't the way you described your father as far as like the hardness with the discipline. My dad was definitely someone that held us to a standard, and there was discipline there when we didn't meet that standard. But he was actually pretty gentle. He was a pretty gentle type guy. So things like that, there was a lot of joy and emotion that he showed behind stuff like that.
I think the hardness about my father was strictly from the military and, who he was.
What branch was he in? My dad was in the Marines.
He was in the Air Force, and he flew a B-26 Marauder, which is a heavy-duty plane in World War II.
No kidding.
Yeah, the average pilot, they said, would get killed either 15 to 20 missions by takeoff or by landing, because it's a very fast bomber plane. And I even have his handwritten notes right now. He flew 63 missions and got shot down twice.
He got shot down?
Yeah, stolen. He won't these guys are sworn to secrecy or silence. I heard this through some of his other guys.
Okay.
Yeah, he actually stole, everybody died on the plane, but his co-pilot, and they stole an enemy aircraft to get back to the base.
And flew it back to base?
Yep. I believe it was Germany. Yeah, he did the European tour.
What happened the second time?
Second time, they got I guess one of his buddies underneath got hit from something from the ground, and the plane exploded, which went up into his.
Wow.
And brought him down.
Man.
Yeah, that's all I know. It's sad because, I would love to have really had these talks with him, because it's so interesting. I do have a ton of memorabilia, pictures and letters and all those paychecks and medals, and pretty cool.
And they just, when you say, I wish you would have had those talks.
I wish those guys, see, the way they get it out is because they're sworn to silence. They go to these meetings. I forgot what they called them, but these guys get together and they drink a bajillion drinks and just yuck it up and talk about all that and get it out. So, but they don't share it with family at all. So he had that toughness, and I had to go to etiquette school and dance lessons and swim lessons and all that stuff, which is good to be more well-rounded as an adult. And it kept me out of jail, that's for sure. Never went. But other than that, he was the funniest, nicest, greatest dad in the world, especially after a couple of drinks. My dad used to do the best.
Those couple of drinks probably just let him soften up a little bit.
Yeah.
Let go of the hardness.
Yeah, and then he gets funny.
And then maybe a few more drinks probably started to push it the other way. He just kept on
going, and from the afternoon to the night.
So the motorcycle became a big part of your life.
Huge.
What did that look like from when you were a kid? You had an infatuation with it, you're riding it all the time. And then where did it kind of come to, like, I want to try to really do something with this?
Well, I got to back up just a hair. So you heard about the 2 bikes, first bikes. Okay. Well, then my dad decides he wants to ride with me. So he calls up Southwest Yamaha, talked to a guy named Jimmy Halford, who I rode with up.
You don't forget a name.
I don't, but I rode with him up until 5 years ago.
Oh, okay.
He told Jimmy, he goes, if you'll bring a Yamaha 90 and a 175 on a trailer out to Paradise Valley, I'll write you a check but I want you to teach my son how to use a clutch.
Okay.
And that guy's one of the fastest guys I ever rode with. And I ended up riding with him over the years. It was crazy. But so that's when it really took a real change. Because now I'm riding a real motorcycle, not with fat tires. I had regular tires, clutch, gears. And so my dad says, well, he goes, he doesn't want, him was friends with Norm Johnson from the Paradise Valley Police Department. And they don't want us riding across streets. And I always had to wear helmets. So my dad opened a club, Paradise Valley Dust Devils. I still have pictures of it. So we would have events now at friends' homes that have 3 acres, and we'd have races, and then we had out right over here off of Bell Road, we had some events, and that's the turning point.
And your dad put that all together? He
put it all together, and drag races and all kinds of stuff. And so, because I went to every single one, of course, I won the whole deal, which is kind of fun. Yeah. So, but then it just kind of kept progressing to the point I want a bigger bike. So he's back in North Carolina. I'm going to go ride his bike, the 175, up to Chaparral High School and show my friends how I can do wheelies. So one big problem.
And that was where the clutch came in, because now you can start popping.
I could pop it up in 5th gear at low RPM. Then I could ride the whole street. The problem I made was it's the first knee wheelie I ever did. So my knees are on the seat. The cowboy boots are in that back bar on the fender. And I got a good one going. The whole football team's practicing and stuff. And I'm blah, 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 blah. All of a sudden it starts crapping out on me. I go, oh no, and this thing's not going to crap out. So I grabbed a handful and I flipped it over about 65 miles an hour. And I mean, my dad had 4 spokes left in each wheel when I got done with it. It was a horrible crash. My friend said the bike bounced like 15 feet in the air.
I bet you were way less worried about the crash.
I was
coming home.
I had more asphalt burns than you could ever imagine. I came home, my mom sees me, I got a white shirt on, which is actually red blood.
Sure.
And I was tore up. Yeah. And so I wasn't worried about going to the hospital and having them scrub all that out and kill me. I was worried about him.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
What did he do?
Well, he was pretty good about big stuff.
Okay.
It's the little that really would annoy him. He looked at his motorcycle. We couldn't even stand it up on the trailer. I had to lay it on the side. He goes, I don't even believe you did that. He goes, was it at least a good wheelie?
My man.
Well, it was, Dad.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. He bought me golf lessons at Camelback Golf Course, which started 2 days later. This arm the asphalt burned all the way down to the bone. And this one was tore up too. He still made me go over there to take those lessons. And I couldn't even move it 4 inches like this. And then now he's mad. He's real mad. So we finally got past that, and I got another bike later, and I just kept going and going and going.
This is so fun for me right now, because even over the last couple of years, you've told me different stories about your father. But even me right now, I'm hearing a whole different side to him I never knew about.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
He was pretty cool.
Let's progress now. How does that lead into where your next step is with the bikes, where you're riding with Knievel and all this crazy stuff? Well,
there was a big skip there, because my dad, I was riding up until I was to go to college. And he tells me and my sister, she may not like this when she hears this, but he says, I'm going to put you guys through college. I'll pay for the whole thing, but neither one of you are going to make 6 months. My sister said, we're going to do it. And I said, Dad, I'm going to spend all that money of yours. I'm going to go the whole 4. He goes, no, you're not. So she flunked out of SCC in about 3 or 4 months. I think that's what it was. So I went 2 years there, 2 years to the U of A, no motorcycling, none. So
what drove you there? What drove you there to do that? Him telling you that you wouldn't? What was it?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah.
You want to prove him wrong?
Oh, absolutely. And I still managed to party and work and drive a Porsche and get through it. But my grades at SCC were about, I think, 3.25 or 3.4, and they went right to 2.0 at the U of A. I could drive a Porsche, down there. I'd worked to get that car for years.
What were you doing working at that point?
I was working 3 jobs.
What were you doing?
Yeah, I was valet parking at night. I was at Bobby McGee's on Tinkerberry, and I was, I was working at the Porsche dealer, Bob Lewis Porsche Audi, as a detailer, and then I was bartending and bouncing at the Stumble Inn.
Which dealership did Bob Holcomb end up at?
Oh no, Bob's always been in Scottsdale.
Oh,
with his, I forgot what he said.
Right. It is because his story even on. So when this comes out, it's a few episodes ago, but that just came out last week. And he when he first came to town, remember he tells a story about the guy at the diner, his name was Jesus, and he thought no one could have that name.
Right. Nobody can have that name.
Yeah.
That's Jesus.
He said he ended up working for, I think it was Porsche Scottsdale.
I got to stop you right here.
Okay.
Bob, hear me out. You just said Porsche again.
Porsche. You already given me the talk.
I have. I've given you the talk. You go to Germany, you say
Bob
Porsche, they'll just shoot
to me.
I'm surprised too.
Yeah.
The whole video, I'm correcting you.
Yeah.
Porsche.
Okay. Porsche.
And I remember the names. He didn't say the name in his interview with you.
Right.
The guy with the world record Porsche, it was Brian DeVries. And I got a ride in that car. We went over 200 miles an hour right here it was Bell Road, not Frank Lloyd Wright. There was nothing, no dealerships, no nothing. Yeah, it was bitching.
You got all 4 years college, no bike. Now we're going to get back on the bike. What does that look like?
So, I go through all this. No motorcycles, a bummer, but, I had to study, whatever. And my high school hero, still is kind of my hero. His name's Bob Wharton. He went to Chaparral, and he was the #1 motocrosser in the state. And I go out and watch him race at Beeline all the time. And he was so amazing. He would ride 125, 250, and 500 and do 3 motos. That's 9 motos in a day. This guy was just an iconic rider. Okay. So anyway, he's 2 years older than me, but he's in my art class. And I got to get to know this guy somehow. So he doesn't talk to anybody, real quiet guy. So I threw a piece of clay at him and hit him in the head.
That's how you broke the ice, huh?
Yeah. And he waited for me outside. He goes, "Why'd you do that?" I said, "Just because I want to be your friend." I said, somehow. I love dirt bikes. And
we'll throw clay at your head.
Yeah. I said, "Could I just come out and help you in the pits?" "No, but you can come out and watch me race." I said, "Okay." So I started doing this and that and whatever. So then he tells me this. Now, I'm backtracking just a hair here. He tells me my senior year of high school, he goes, "I'm going to go race this circuit in Daytona for Yamaha." He had a ride. And he goes, "If I make it, great. If I don't or I get hurt, I'm going to go to work for my father in Texas with his used car lots." I didn't see him one single time, not one phone call for 5 years. Not once. Now, bear in mind, at the end of my high school career, I was about 140 pounds and about 5'7", 5'6", and he's kind of shorter. And so all of a sudden, I'm home on a Christmas break in my senior year, which of course I never graduated. We'll tell you about that later. So I hear the knock at the door. I'm now 5'11", 190 pounds with a beard like yours. And he knocks on the door. I'm in my flannel shirt and he goes, "Perry?" "Bob?"
You gonna throw clay at your head?
No way. I can't even believe it. "You never contacted me once." I go, "What have you been doing?" I look out in the driveway. He's driving a brand new slant nose Porsche. I go, "Okay.
You know what you've been doing?
You've been doing good." Mm-hmm. He goes, "Yeah, we did real well with these." They call them note lots. And, they're buy here, pay here places. Anyway, yeah, he did real well. So he says, "I'm here to ask you if you would like to come to work with me and build a Yamaha store over on Bell Road." I already got the point. Now, I had another 4 months, I think, to finish up that year, but I was still a semester short of my degree. So I asked my parents, I said, "Could I please take a break? I've been going to school for 16 straight years, no summer school. I just want to make some money." Mm-hmm. And they said, my dad's like, "You're never going back." I said, "Hey, I will." I didn't. I left in May of 80 and never went back, of course. So we built the Yamaha store.
Okay.
And it was a great experience. He hired a bunch of ex-pro riders and stuff, and we built this store and we opened it up and I started riding again. Okay. And I just turned it on. I mean, like I was doing stuff like taking 600-pound shaft drive Yamaha 1100s out on Bell Road, no helmet, and doing 100-mile-an-hour wheelies down the street. Because the guys across the street were doing wheelies on dirt bikes, I had to beat them. So, and it just progressed from there. Then I got a bike from them and I started doing some racing, but I just didn't have skills at that point, not good enough skills. And Bob, Bob took me under his wing and he took me to the desert every single week and just beat the crap out of me. He'd be behind me, "Stand up, stay on those pegs." And he was brutal, but I'll tell you one thing, he made me go from a beginner to an expert over probably 4 years, 5 years.
What was he polishing? Was it the timing of your aggressive, your lines, your aggressiveness
lines
on
out
the
there.
throttle? What is it? What does he make you better at?
He made me better at a lot of things, but one of the biggest things when you're off-road is I had the tendency to not stand up enough and be looking down my fender. You don't look down your fender, you look about 100 yards ahead, which means your speed's going to pick up. And if you're in a big rock bed, you're just going to thread the needle through there as fast as you can and just watch. We can't tell you the term we used to use, but the big rocks that could kill you.
Yeah.
You just light it up and get light on the seat and lean back and go through there and just weave around the big ones. He taught me that. He taught me how to do feet on the pegs, huge mountaintops, single track, because that's what we did. And there's no lines. It's just how to read desert and get going fast. And you got to crash. If you're going to get fast, you got to crash. And 42 bones later.
42?
Yep. 42 total. 22 broken ribs. Of course, the last a year ago.
I remember that.
But yeah, I broke a lot of bones. It's pretty painful sometimes. One night, we got these three-wheelers, just came out. Honda had them. Yamaha brought out this Tri-Moto. We got like 13 of them. We'd never ridden one. It's like 8 at night. We're still at the store. It's raining like crazy. And Bob goes, hey, let's take out a couple Tri-Motos and go to the side of Bell Road. Right. I go, let's do it.
My name is Jacob McLaughlin, and I'm the founder of New to Medical Device Sales. Medical device sales is the selling of medical equipment to hospitals, surgeons. They're actually in the surgeries, and the average rep's going to make around $177,000. And what we've been able to do is help people break in about 8 weeks at around $100,000 starting out in the industry. It usually is 5 to 7 interviews, 6 to 12 weeks long in the interview process, and they go up against thousands of people. But that's because you are going to be working with some of the smartest human beings, such as surgeons. You're going to make over 6 figures. You get your car paid for, all your gas paid for, and all your travel paid for. We've been able to help over 2,000 people do this in the last 2 years. Not only do we help people break in to make a difference and change other people's lives, they also get to change their lives. If you're interested in helping people and you're interested in financially becoming free, we can definitely help you. And I think you should check out New to Medical Device Sales, our podcast, while you can also click the link where you guys can learn more about what we do at New to Medical Device Sales. I absolutely love Brenton. I thank him so much for what he's doing for all of you. And I hope you guys keep enjoying the episode.
So we're roosting each other sideways, throwing mud on each other and stuff like that. I throw mine sideways and I go end over end about 6 times and break this collarbone. This one's been broken 4 times. This one's 3. But the bad part was, I go, I got to get back to the shop. And I'm like this, and I'm just putting along the side of Bell Road, and there's this big ditch. And I'm like, Bob doesn't see me. He hits me at like 40 from behind and broke the other one. Now I got 2 broken collarbones. Anyway, I was so vain, I had to drive home with my little Subaru and get in the shower and just let it pour the mud off me, and then I went to the hospital. But we had some times, a book of times.
During that time when he was pushing you and teaching you and everything, and you had that desire to race, what ultimately was like, all right, I'm going to need to transition into my focus somewhere and let that go? Was that hard for you? What got you to do it? Yeah,
because my, even though I wasn't living with my parents, they would be so disappointed if I ever raced. So I'd go to the tracks, and I'd ride practice, but I wasn't really racing. Finally, when the Yamaha store failed about a year and a half later, that's another story, I didn't have a job. So my dad gave me $25 and said, that's all you get. And I got in my Subaru. And
what year is this?
So I had to move to New Mexico to get a job with my friends that worked with me at the Yamaha store. They owned a Yamaha dealership.
Okay.
So I flew out there and I said, hell yes, I'll come here. What else could I do? Mm-hmm. So anyway, long story short, my dad says, no more money. Here's $25. That'll get you there. I had a Subaru towing my Mako 440, which is a killer bike, desert bike. So I go there. I'm there for about 6 months, and it's time to race my first Grand Prix desert race. It was a great story. There's 100 guys straight across this way. Their bikes are on kickstands. I didn't have a kickstand, so I had a stick under mine. So then you got to go 50 yards away, and it's a shotgun start. And you run to your bike, fire the thing up, and go. Well, that bike never started on the first kick. I get lucky. I beat everybody there. I kick the bike. It starts from the first kick, and I take off, and I'm ahead of 99 people, scared shitless.
What a rush.
Oh my God, we all funneled into a power line road like this. And I'm out in the middle of nowhere. I'm doing like, I don't know, 70 miles an hour, wide open. And I'm just going, oh, this is crazy. This is crazy. And I'm in the beginner class. Okay. My first race, the amateurs left 20 minutes before, the experts and pros left 20 minutes before that. So they're way up there. So anyway, guy passes me like I'm standing still on the power line road and crashed his brains out so bad. I stopped, make sure he's okay. He said, yeah, go, go, go. I take off. I never got passed. I was passing all of the next class and a third of the experts. This is my very first race. So I came in so far ahead that I didn't get a trophy because I didn't know who I was. But it was my first race and I won it. It was great.
Really? I did not know that.
Yeah, it was a good story. Then I started racing a lot of that stuff.
I was going to say, so what'd that lead into if you did so well?
Well, then I did a few more races over there. I did good. I tried motocross. I just wasn't a motocrosser. I don't know what the deal was.
Gotcha.
So I was there for about 2 years until I could afford to move back here. I had a few bucks and I got a job. So I come back here and I was doing I know. In New Mexico, they're big on wheelies. And there was 7 wheelie contests while I was there, and I won every one of them. And then I started doing some in California, and I went to try to get a stuntman job for a movie at Chap's Restaurant. I don't know if you ever went there years ago, with John Schultz and Spanky Spangler's there and Evel Knievel. So that's where I first met Robbie, and he lived in Scottsdale. So we started riding, and I mean, riding and doing wheelie contests together. And I would always help practice with him before his jumps. So Channel 3 was filming us before Caesar's Palace and all that stuff. Just had so much fun. Didn't get any other stunt parts per se. I tried out for the original Chips. The original one, Punch.
Yeah.
And I had it in the bag. I was going to do the street bike stuff. And so my dad said, they said, you can't come back here until you get a SAG card. He wouldn't allow me to get a SAG card. He says, you're going to kill yourself. So that never came to fruition.
How old are you at this point?
Very early 20s.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Man, the way that you've been talking, I thought we were early 30s at the minimum right now. You're still at your early 20s.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And Robbie and I, we rode for, God bless his soul, we rode for about 10 years straight and together out here in the desert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When does this lead to you start to get in the car business then? Because you kind of, at this point, you realize, all right, I'm not going to have a career in riding my bike. So I'm going to.
No career, no money.
Okay.
Just was kind of good at it. Anyway, I always had this knack for detailing. And my dad had a big boat when we were kids, like a almost a 30-footer in Paradise Valley. And it was super tall, had a fly bridge and all that. He hands me a 1975 Craftsman buffer that's round like this. He says, go out there and buff that thing. I said, what? I don't know how to buff. He goes, time you finish it, you will.
Yeah.
So I buffed that monster out and it, burned up everything I could burn up, tore cords up and all kinds of stuff. And people in PV were starting to drive by and there were some nice cars in our neighborhood. And they said, hey, you buff my car for like $50. I said, yeah, sure. So I'm a self-taught master detailer is what I am.
Sure.
And my dad was so cool. When I was 14, he went to Ray Cordy Chevrolet and bought a 1966 Chevy pickup step side. It was the ugliest thing you've ever seen. He paid $300 for it.
Okay.
I go, why are we getting this ugly thing? He goes, because you and I are going to do a father-son restoration. It was the best thing he ever did for me. We took the bed off it and painted it in the backyard and all this stuff. And it was just a great experience. So that's what I drove when I was 16. We finished it. Yeah. But he sent it to the hitching post years ago. It was a detail shop on Scottsdale Road. And they did the motor and they painted the block and they put the armor and stuff all over it. And I was amazed. I go, God, this is incredible. I said, I'm going to do this. Okay. And that's when I started. So while I was at the Yamaha store, I did some detailing for Bob because he had the Porsches and stuff. Mm-hmm. Then when I went to New Mexico, I was still doing some detailing over there. I always did it in college and stuff. And I just became a self-taught guy. And I finally said, I got some really cool jobs. People would fly me to North Carolina for Concours events, Pebble Beach, Texas. Bob would take me to Texas. And I enjoyed traveling.
How are they hearing about you?
There's a couple ways they heard about me. The best one, I'll have to come back to that. Okay. But so I just got tired of this traveling
Yeah.
stuff, and I was making a little bit of money,
Yeah.
but still very young. And so I decided my dad, this sucks. He started a furniture company for me to work in and sell furniture. I had to put a suit on every day. I hated it. So I would
So you were selling in the showroom.
Yeah, I hated it.
Yeah.
So I would go home.
How old are you at this point?
Probably
Late
about
20s?
23, 24.
Okay. So we're still early 20s.
So I would go home and take off my suit, put on some shorts, and go detail 2 cars. Then I would come home, shower, put the suit back on, and go tell them what I did for the day. I tried that barrels. I tried registers. They didn't want to talk to me. So when he found out about this stuff, it was bad because he developed this company, Laredo, Larry Adrian Dodd, for me. And I just didn't do it. So we had a little bit of a separation, if you will, because I told him I'd go back to detailing cars. $50 a car, 3 a day, 300.
When he set it up for you, though,
He did.
was it a conversation that took place that actually where he would ask you, is this something you want? Or he just kind of put it upon you?
No, it's interesting you asked that. So here's what happened. So he wanted me to follow his footsteps. He worked for Lane Furniture in Alta Vista, Virginia, and he sent me back there to train for 2 weeks, and it was in the winter. It was so freaking cold, and the hottest girl in the factory was 400 pounds, and so I called him up about a week into it, and I said, "Dad, what?" I said, "I don't think I'm cut out for this gig at all, and I don't want to live back here." He was really cool.
Really?
I said, "How hot is it today?" There he goes, 78 degrees. I go, "Can I come home?" He said, "Get on a plane, come home." And that's when he decided to try to keep me in the, he actually got me into different lines of furniture, HTB, Venture and Lane and all that. I was passionate about motorcycles and cars. This whole life of mine is straight passion. So I followed my passion. And have I paid my dues? From my $300 a month duplex, I was buffing in the dirt. Couldn't afford a vacuum, couldn't afford a pressure washer. So I would take 12th Street in Rose Lane. I'd go to the car wash, clean the engine and wash the car there and vacuum it there. And a couple times I was working on Mercedes and they wouldn't start. I didn't have insurance, so I had to sleep in the trunk. Police for waking me up every 2 hours. "What are you doing here?" I said, "I don't have insurance. I'm sorry, the motor won't start." So then I get up, go back to work the next day behind the duplex. Oh, and I had a guy that he was a security guard and he worked all night. So I'm out there buffing cars and it's loud. The buffers are loud. And he's complaining about shit. And I had to wrap my buffers with rags to quiet it for him. And the armatures would burn up once a week.
Okay.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
But that's how I got started.
Yeah.
3 cars a day. My ex used to say, "I had the tiger." I'd work 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. That's where the detailing thing really got started. And then I got my first shop, which was a condo. Then I got my real first shop on Indian School in I was about 24 or 5.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. I was just a hard worker.
How long were you at that spot?
Which one? The shop?
Yeah, your first real.
My very first shop. I was there for about a year and a half. It was
I saw that little smile that just got on your face when I asked, "Where did that come from?"
I did because I was just there a couple weeks ago, and my landlord is still there, Terry Tapp. He's a great guy, and we have so many laughs. So I took Eli, and showed him that shop, which is really disgusting and it's a 2-car shop.
But there's nostalgia to it.
There's nostalgia. Oh my God, is there nostalgia? We had, the mid bags, the boxing bags. We had those strung to the ceiling in heavy bags. Me and my first employee Kermit, we would work out there. And we had some times we used to wear out every car that we got in there. Corvettes, whatever, spin them out. We were a little bit nutty.
My first location was down in Mesa.
It was?
Yeah, it was over off the east side of the 101. And so on the west side was rural. On the east side was Main Street, where the light rail was.
Was it small?
It actually was not small. It was just a cheap area, so it didn't have to be small. I was getting it, I think at the time I was like paying 46 cents a foot or something like that.
So how much was that?
I think my total all-in rent was about $3,000 and some, maybe $3,800 or
That's
something.
a lot.
Well, I mean, it was 7,000 feet almost.
Wow.
So, but because of where it was positioned, we had bullet holes in the back door.
Oh boy.
We had some incidents where people were strung out and were trying to break in while we were there. I actually had one guy Poor thing, man. I watched him outside my office window, and I could see him out in the parking lot, and I could see he was strung out. He had no shoes on.
Yeah.
It was 115 degrees that day. Shirtless, walking around, and then he starts making his way over towards us. And that day, my wife and brother were at my work. I remember that guy making his way over, and I was like, okay, here we go. Something's about to happen.
Game on.
And he made his way to our front door, of course, and it was all glass, the front was, but they were tinted. So he lays down on his back, and he takes his feet, and he starts trying to kick in the glass.
Wow.
Yeah. So I would call the police, like, you need to get here now. If this guy comes through, the glass, I was literally standing there, gun in hand, with my wife and brother behind me in the room.
Whoa.
And I'm just like, God, please don't let this man come through this glass. And thankfully, somehow, some way, he never broke it. And it was caving. I thought it was going to go at any second.
Yeah.
And they rolled up, and it took I think there was probably 8 or 12 police and paramedics to get him to calm down and everything. And they probably spent 30 minutes getting him finally to the point they could get him out of there. But where we were located, we just dealt with stuff like that all the time. Just like you, there's a nostalgia to that location.
That story resonates to this day.
I'll drive down there, and I'll just sit in the parking lot sometimes by myself.
Is that right?
Yeah, I still do that every once in a while.
That's cool.
Yeah. And I know we have selective memory too, because we can remember the good parts about it while we were there was a lot of rough times. Even for me, I remember my father had passed, and some really difficult things were going on in my personal life, and I hadn't worked through a lot of my anger and demons and everything. And there were nights I'm sitting in that warehouse down there, 10 o'clock at night in the dark by myself, just on the edge, not wanting to live life anymore, not in a good place.
No way.
Oh yeah. So that was a very dark time, but yet still, there's just something about where you're getting started and paying your dues, like you said, and doing what it takes. And there's even a little, I don't want to call it pride, but there's some gratification from the suffering that you didn't quit.
Absolutely.
That you didn't quit.
That makes you who you are now.
Exactly. So from that location, where do we go now?
I ended up having, after the little shop, I moved up to 12th Street into a bigger shop. It was a big move for me, $600 a month to 15. And I was scared. I had, some employees and stuff. Long story short, I've had 4 shops on Indian School. The final one was the big one, 20th Street. Had about a 9,000 square foot shop.
Wow.
And we were really busy. That's when I made, most of the best income of my life, because we were so busy that we'd have 2 weeks worth of cars in the back parking lot, and we'd just go pick them up and keep going and stuff. So, but let's go back to 12th Street just for a sec.
Okay.
So I was kind of friends with Craig Jackson at the time. I knew his brother, Brian. He was a cool guy.
For those that don't know, Craig Jackson's who owns Barrett Jackson.
CEO of Barrett Jackson.
Huge car auctions here.
Absolutely. I get a phone call from Brian Jackson, and he says, "Hey, Perry, you ever thought about detailing out at the auction?" I said, "No, I really haven't." He goes, "Why don't you give it a shot?" I said, "Okay." So I gathered up about 6 guys, and we went out there. And back in the day, this is back like 88, I think, they had a detail row. Okay. So there's 6, 7 detailers. And by the time they get prices from the guys in front of me, I was going to get $100 a car. And I was not happy. So we did the event, but most of the people really loved our work. So he calls me back the next year, and I said, "Nah, I don't think I'm going to do it." I said, I don't think unless you were to eliminate a bunch of those guys, well, we could talk about it. And I just took 1 year off. Thank God that was the year that we had the torrential downpour, and the cars were stuck up to the axles at Westrold in the grass.
That's right, because it's a big dirt lot.
So the detailers were washing mud off the tires for $40. Good year for me to be off. So calls me the next year. He goes, "Well, we've had numerous people ask for you guys to come back." And I said, "I'll make you a deal. I'll come back if you get rid of 4 out of 7 of the detailers, and I'll staff it." So we were the 4th one, and we did pretty good. And people just loved our work. And finally, the next 2 years later, I said, "I want this whole thing myself, all of it." And he goes, him and Craig agreed, "Okay, it's your baby." So that started probably about 89-ish, 90.
And you were training all those guys yourself?
Oh God, yeah.
Okay.
And towards the end, I would have 25 employees out there. You know,
That's how you made sure there was congruent quality across.
yeah, we had to have a QC guy, you know, that could go over everything. Yeah. That was just his job. But I had a bunch of detailers. I had people that would help me dust cars, and then we had, you know, I had a secretary that would do spreadsheets for us, and it worked out to be a pretty good deal. I did 30 years. Wow. And finally, I passed the baton to Adam from Adam's Polishes, great guy. So now I'm just a human that goes out there and enjoys cars. And it's going on right now.
Everybody calls for passes.
The once a year pass mooches. Absolutely.
You had to change your phone number. Because today, what that has turned into is a giant party. So even if
it's a huge party.
Even if someone that doesn't like cars still goes and has a good time.
And now the people really want the passes because they're very, very expensive. So, but I've made it to VIP Platinum status, which is great. So I just get all my cool VIP stuff and that's it. But I don't give them out, obviously. During all these detail times and, you know, throughout the shops and stuff, I always had dirt bikes. So my employees knew if there was one stitch of rain in that sky,
it's time to ride.
I'm out of here.
We're riding.
Usually the day after the rain.
Yeah.
So I was riding a lot.
Okay.
Back then.
What's unique about your story, even compared to whether it's some people that have been here or just in general, is I feel like what has driven a lot of your decisions with your writing and the different things you pursued in life was, you said it earlier, it came from a place of passion.
Yes.
I feel like a lot of people, what drives us most of the time is identity and wanting to be viewed a certain way instead of actually it being our passion and what uniquely, you know, makes us us or what we enjoy and going for it. And that's really cool that you have that you didn't try to go do or be something because you thought that's what everyone else wanted you to be. Now, you talk about like the expectations your father put on you even, and then it drove you enough to finish all 4 years of college, not even ride during that time.
Yeah.
So what was it that was the difference between that time period of when you didn't ride and finished it, went to school just so you could prove him wrong, to then the next
I wanted
step,
the education.
You did. Okay. Yeah. So deep down it was that.
Yeah. You know,
knew what he was saying.
I don't use my education to this day, but I'm a smarter person because of it. Mm-hmm. But based on what you're just saying, I'd like to throw you a little sidebar caveat here.
Give it to me.
I think I'm still to this day extremely passionate about my work, yes, even though I have limited vision.
Sure.
I still love it. But here's another thing that I don't say it very often.
Okay.
I'm a show off. Huh? From the wheelies to always messing around, doing that, showing off and getting accolades from people saying, wow, that was so cool, to detailing, because I love what I do, because I want to take a car that's really rough and make it as new as I can. And it's just another way of showing off. And I used to tell people, I go, I don't really care if you give me a tip, $20 or whatever. I want to hear how much you like it. I want the attaboy. And that's where I've always been. So I'm sorry to throw you off guard there, but
You're not throwing me off guard. You know what you just did? My next question that I had for you just set it up perfectly. Yeah, like literally to a T. So thank you for your sidebar.
Yeah.
I was just ready to say, I've watched how your identity has changed from what you do and getting those accolades and that praise to now how you treat others and what caused the change. I'd say you just set that up pretty perfectly.
Pretty perfectly, yeah.
So what is it?
That's a great question, actually. It also falls back on what you said in the beginning of this interview. I like also helping people. I mean, there's been times that I just want to help somebody out and I don't even charge. I'll come in on a Sunday and do it for free. That's just me. And
I watched you help that guy with his trucks for weeks.
Oh yeah, the guy gives me $200 for working the entire weekend in the sun, getting heat stroke. That guy.
You won't be sending him the link to this interview.
I might.
Let's put it in there.
I might just bring up Larry. But
I've watched how, like, follow the thought pattern or even the behavioral pattern of, I'm going to go to 4 years of school because my dad told me I wouldn't, to then I'm doing wheelies because I want to show off. I'm doing the best of my ability to transform a car because I want the attaboy and I want people to see that I'm the best at what I do. you still take pride in what you do,
Yes.
but other people's expectations and opinions of you at this point are no longer what drive you, at least in my opinion that I witness and I watch. You're going to do what Perry was going to do regardless of someone else's opinion of you.
But the expectations have been a problem. Because I used to be super OCD, I have expectations, and it's not good for relationships. I could tell you that. But I don't know, there's a lot to this. And I think a lot of this is going to go back to LB. That's my dad. He had expectations. He also would show off through me. Can I give you an example?
Sure.
This is great. So the old man was a big party thrower, drinker, whatever. And I'd always have to walk my bike down the street with the helmet and da-da-da. But when he had his friends over and he had some cocktails in him, he'd say, "Hey, son, crack that bike out. Show them how you can wheelie. You don't have to wear a helmet." I'd do 5-gear wheelies down the street. And he just loved it. So he's showing off kind of his kid.
And you loved
He'd always say, "That's my number one son."
Exactly.
Well, I'm his only son.
And you loved that too.
I did. I love making him happy.
Ate that up.
Yeah.
So you saw different versions of that, even from other people at different points in life. I could see that.
Yeah.
And so I guess maybe, I don't want to answer the question for you, but just as the privilege that I've got to spend the time around you that I've had, I've even seen you letting go of the need to get that from other people.
Yeah.
And you're starting to allow yourself to give that to yourself and God.
I think I have to. It's that time. Hey, I'm still doing it, and I don't know how I'm doing it.
Yeah,
I'm still.
You got on that bike and wheelied it when it rained about 4 months ago. I heard it rip out of the back, and you burned it out. You're still doing a lot of those things.
Only in the air park.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, but it's just what I was getting at was, at least I'm in decent shape thanks to you, even though I'm not there enough. But I can still do my job, and most guys my age are not doing this physical labor, but it's really gratifying for me. I'd much rather work hard all day long, have somebody say, "Man, what a great job. Thank you so much." And da-da-da-da. And then I go home and I feel good. I feel complete.
Yeah. Yeah. What I've noticed in you is similar to me. We both carried an edge for a long time.
Yeah.
That it was, in some ways, actually what fueled us and made us successful in some things.
Here's the edge.
But it also was toxic for us,
yeah,
internally and personally. And I've watched you as you've been letting go of that edge.
I'm trying.
Yeah, and you're doing a great job.
Thanks.
And I think that you've always had a heart to help people, but now as the edge starts to let off, that heart's showing more and more, and it's a beautiful thing. I've watched you with different friends that you've brought over to introduce me to, or I've gone next door, because his location's actually right next door to our hangar, attached to us. And every single one of them, I can see how much they care about you.
That's a blessing.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. It's so obvious that I can see the difference between the ones that don't want anything from you.
Right.
So you got a lot of those that come around.
Yeah, the hanger-ons have pretty much gone away.
Good. But the ones that you introduced me to as your closest friend, all of them just always have such great things to say about you. And there's usually a couple stories attached where you've done something to make it either an impact in their life or gone up and above to help them in some way.
It's kind of crazy. I got on a legal pad one day and I wrote down all the relationships, friendships that I've had over 30 years. And there was 125, some over 50 years, some over 60 years.
I bet you on that whole pad of all those people, I bet you there's not another person on that list could say the same thing.
I bet there's not.
Not even close. 120?
5. And there's more, but I just gave up.
That's amazing.
Thinking about it.
Most people right now, if they did the same thing and took inventory of how many people they've had for the last 5 years, probably wouldn't have 5 on that list that are real friends, that are there for the right reasons, that when things get difficult.
These are actually real friends. I can't say they're in the 5.
Right.
But yeah, they're, and some of them have passed, by the way, but yeah, it kind of surprised me. I started thinking about it. I said, when I think I'm a piece of crap or I'm feeling low, I started thinking about it. How could I have all these friends that love me? And if I'm a bad person, I have bad qualities here and there, but
well, But what you've shown, at least since I've known you, is the intentionality to eradicate those things. You've intentionally done the work or the self-awareness to try to change those things.
Yeah.
And I think the
I think
people
you have to at a certain point in your life. You really do.
We
When I
all
get
do.
any younger, and I'm losing
And on that
so many
point,
friends.
think about what your life would be like if we would have done it sooner.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
So yeah, when you say that we all need to do it, but especially as you're getting older, you're right. But I hope that people that are listening to this at any age, but especially if you're young, that instead of putting it off, that they do it at that young age.
I agree.
Yeah.
100%.
So this leads me into my next question. I got 2 left and we'll be done. Okay.
Okay.
What does legacy mean to you?
Wow. Legacy means a lot of things to me. And it might not really pertain to me, because I know many amazing people that have a true legacy, whether it be, a professional racer that I look up to, who now has his sons following his footstep. They're carrying on his legacy. Mine it'd be hard for me to sum it up, except for I really have wanted to be the number one or master detailer in the United States, which is it's not possible now because of my age. But if I had children, I think the legacy for me would have been to learn what I've learned, the craft that I've learned, that it's hard to teach, and carry that out for me, basically. So that's, the motorcycle thing is a different story. It's like I was so passionate about motorcycles. I think sometimes I was a better rider than I was a detailer, blah, 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 go back and forth. But, that stuff's all changed now. But I don't know if I can exactly answer that the way you want me to. I know you don't care.
Yeah, you don't need to answer the way I want you to.
I'm proud of one thing. I took something from nothing, this detail thing. And no one, maybe one person gave me some training in Newport Beach, this Ferrari place, but I just dig it. I know that's an old school word, but I still get up, hungover or not, get my coffee, and I like to come to work and I like to get it done. So I'm proud of myself for sticking with it, even though there's times I remember in my 40s, I said, man, if I'm detailing cars after 45 years old, I'm such a loser. And I really believe that. But I thought, well, I work with a lot of high-end clients. Somebody's going to think I'm funny or smart or whatever and take me out of here and I'll go to work for them. Never happened. But now in hindsight, with what's happened with my vision and stuff, I'm blessed to still have this going on.
Yeah.
And I still love it.
Yeah. Because when you said a loser, what defines that? That it doesn't live
what it was?
to the typical Scottsdale.
I'll tell you what it is.
What is it?
Back to the Future. I don't want to be that guy, that detailer. Remember? I didn't want to be Biff.
Okay.
So now I even make fun of myself and call myself Biff. So, because I'm, think about it. I'm detailing my friends' kids' cars that are now in their 20s. I've been at this a long time.
Okay, let's attack one part of that, and then I get to compliment you. The first part of it, let's going back to the loser thing. I'm gonna give you 2 scenarios. You have some guy that is CEO of one of the largest companies in Scottsdale, makes $10 million a year, drives any car and every car he wants, but is miserable. Hates what he does. He does it because he makes the money, loves the accolades, loves the attention, loves freedom, all those things. But he doesn't wake up in the morning, even if he's not hungover, and he feels great waking up in his $20 million house in Silverleaf and gets in his $500,000 car, but doesn't want to go to work. You wake up, even if you feel like shit, and you still go to work looking forward to it. Who's the loser?
That's a great point.
I know which one I'd pick.
Yeah. I remember I had a stepdaughter years ago, and she had a big problem with drugs, and I took her in for a summer and tried to get her head back on and turn her on to God and all this stuff. And she said the smartest thing I ever heard in my life. I said, when are you going to quit this crystal meth? She goes, when I'm ready to. And that was one of the smartest things I ever heard, because I was telling her she wanted to get a tattoo. I said, hey, if you get Honeywell on your ankle, they're not going to hire you. But it relates to life. So now she's married and has 4 kids, sober. And I look at things like that and follow in my dream and think it's all okay.
What I love about her answer is it was honest.
It was honest. Yeah. No, nothing would change her at the time. You know, they could do this intervention, all that. No, she's not going to quit.
That's right.
That's a smart answer. When I'm ready to.
And it's unique because most people in that scenario would have told you what you wanted to hear, or at least what they thought you wanted to hear.
Yeah, she wasn't like that. She's straightforward.
You're cool. Like that. You tell it just as it is.
I do. I try to.
From the minute
I embellish a little bit.
To any time I tell someone about you, when I'm recommending you or just talking about you, I say that guy is what you see is what you get. You're going to get a straightforward answer, even if it's an abrasive answer.
That can happen.
I'll take that all day, every day, than somebody lying to me or just telling me what I want to hear.
Yeah.
I know who I want to be around. And back to the legacy thing. Yeah, you are a master detailer, but that list of 125 people, I say that's a big part of your legacy. I'd say regardless of what you've done in your career, what you've done on a dirt bike, it's who you've been as a friend. It's who you've been as a friend to me. The text messages that you send to me when you're saying you're praying for my little family, or just, man, you're the real deal.
So are you, Brenton. I mean, I've never met anybody like you, and you've changed my life in many ways.
Thank you.
And you are rock solid, brother.
Thank you. Thank you.
I appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
That's why we're here, right?
That's right. That's right. Last question.
Yes, sir.
You get to have a billboard right here at the 101 in Scottsdale Road. On that billboard, you can have whatever you want, saying, picture, whatever, but your name signed at the bottom of it so they know it's yours. What's on it?
That's $1,000 question.
I'd say at that location, it's probably $1 million question.
Yeah, probably so. That's a tough one.
Good.
It just is. Because I have this one billboard that I saw on Facebook. It's the funniest thing I ever said, but I can't say it because there's a bad word in it.
You can say it. You're fine. You can bleep it out.
Somebody into some podunk town somewhere, this is how warped my sense of humor is, rented a billboard, and it was white, and all it said was, be polite. And somebody had a pretty good sense of humor, climbed up there with black spray paint and said, go f*** yourself. That's the funniest thing I've ever seen.
You can't copy him, though.
No, you can't do that.
You gotta give me your own. You gotta give me your own.
Take each day as a true blessing.
Absolutely.
And love your family and your friends.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'd put.
Mm-hmm. I like that a lot. That's a beautiful answer. Okay. The put you on the spot questions are over.
Good.
We can even cut here if it ends up working out this way. Is there any stories you want to tell you haven't told? This man, a lot of this is very censored right now. We've been
of course.
This man's stories kill me. I mean, he gets me laughing like few people are able to do. You're an amazing storyteller. So even if we have to end up cutting something or whatever stories you want to tell, let it rip.
Well, what I want to say, first of all, is I love to be funny. And if I can't wake up every day and make at least 5 people laugh, it's kind of hard to do at home sometimes, I guess.
You're good at it, though, because you don't force it. You're always telling someone's trying really hard to be
There's
funny,
always a story with a story.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And some of my stories are crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But
a lot of them.
We might have to edit this one, but
okay.
I am relationship challenged. And it's really sad for me because anybody that I meet that's been married for 50 years, I get wimpy. I mean, it's like, how beautiful is that? Yeah. And that's all I ever wanted.
Yeah.
I did want kids. I'll say that. I did not. But the idea of that relationship lasting that long it's pretty amazing to me. I'm so proud of people that have done that. And I'm not that good at math, but maybe you'll understand this one. I have 3 failed marriages, probably 700 failed relationships. And then there's this line, and I'm standing below it, one. So I guess a lot of it's my fault, if not all of it. And I don't mean to be, I didn't want that in my life.
For what it's worth, I think you've been an excellent father.
Oh, I have.
Would be now.
Yeah. I have the girl cuts my hair. She's been doing it for like 20 years. She said, if you don't adopt a child, I'm going to kill you because I know you'd be the best dad in the world. And I think I would be once I finally got the craziness out of my system. You know, motorcycles were more important. I want to go buy a new bike. I don't want to go buy a new crib.
Yeah.
So I was selfish, and I always admit that I'm selfish, or was.
Yeah. But you have this is what I said earlier, though. You have the self-awareness of the things that you've been facing head on. And I've seen how, even without getting too specific to sensitivity to stories and people involved, I've even seen in different scenarios where you're aware of your selfishness and you're trying really hard not to be. Yeah. I see it.
Yeah. And lately, as you said, I've softened, and I'm trying really hard. And
you know, I said that earlier too when I walked out to grab your water. When I said you've softened, but you're not soft.
I'm still not soft. No.
No, you're not, and you never will be. I was talking to our mutual friend Keith.
Oh yeah.
And we were just talking about, because what's crazy is I've known him for almost 10 years.
That blew me away. When you told me that, I could not believe that.
That was nuts. And we were talking about you and just how much we both appreciate and like you. And then I said that to him. We both landed there too. We said he's softened so much, but that man will never be soft.
It's a good statement.
You'll take a stand when you need to.
Right.
Yes, you will.
I will.
You know, if I had to be in a bunker, times are tough, the world's going crazy, you only want a very specific kind of person in that bunker with you. You don't want the person that's going to be, you know, crazy, that's running out and causing problems. You don't want the annoying person. I'd want you in my bunker.
You want the protective one.
I'd want you in my bunker.
I'd want you in my bunker. Strong as you are, I just hide behind you.
Security, huh?
Exactly.
Well, let's wrap it with that. Thank you guys for watching another episode of Living Lifted. Thank you for being here with me, Perry.
And thank you for having me.
Oh, man, it's been an honor, a pleasure. And every time because I can see from my desk when the door chimes, I'll look down and see who walks through. Every time you walk through the door, I hope you're coming up to talk to me.
I'd come up a lot.
That's good. Keep coming.
I will do it.
Enjoy it. Love you, buddy.
Love you too.